Joes 13:25. Captured by David. The city is mentioned again in connection with war resulting from the abuse of David's messengers by King Nun of Ammon. 2 Sa 10. 1-19. 1ch19. 1-19 Joab and his troops fought Syrians high by the Ammonites, while the Israelites under Abishai went up against the Ammonites at the entrance of the city, evidently Rabbah. 1ch19. 9 When the Syrians were defeated, the Ammonites retreated into the city. The next spring Joab and his army besieged Rabbah. It was during this campaign that David in Jerusalem sinned with Bathsheba. The king sent her husband Uriah the Hittite back to battle, and according to David's instructions, Uriah was put in the front lines. When some Ammonites sallied forth from Rabbah, the battle brought Uriah close enough to be killed by an archer on the wall. 2 Sa 11. 1-25. 1ch20. 1. In time Joab succeeded in his fight against Rabbah to the point of capturing the city of waters. 2 Sa 12. 27 Since Joab then informed David of the situation so that the king would come and complete the conquest and thus get credit for capturing Rabbah, it seems that Joab captured only a portion of the city. The expression city of waters may refer to a part on the river bank, as distinguished from some other part of the city, or it may mean that he secured control of the city's principal water supply. 2 Sa 12. 26-28. David came and completed the capture of Rabbah, and the spoil of the city that he brought out was very much. 2 Sa 12. 29-31. 1ch20. 2, 3 Eventually the Ammonites became independent again. In the 9th century BCE Amos foretold judgment against the Ammonites, and he specifically mentioned that Rabbah would be burned. Am 1. 13, 14 Both Jeremiah and Ezekiel also delivered messages against Rabbah. As shown under Ammonites, these prophecies were evidently fulfilled in Nebuchadnezzar's time. Jer 49. 2, 3. Ez 21. 19-23. 25. 5. In the 3rd century BCE Ptolemy Philadelphus rebuilt Rabbah and renamed the city Philadelphia. It was later included among the cities of the Decapolis and apparently was quite prosperous and strong. The modern city of Amman is located here, and there are considerable ancient ruins, including a huge amphitheater, but these date mainly from Roman times. 2. One of the cities given to the tribe of Judah in its territorial allotment. Its exact location is unknown. In Joshua 15:60 it is listed with Kiriath Jearim, which was in the hill country of Judah 13 km 8 MW of Jerusalem. Rabbi. The designation rabbi was used in a de facto sense as teacher. Joe 1:38 But among the Jews, shortly before the birth of Jesus, it came ruins at Amman, the location of ancient Rabbah of Ammon and later of Philadelphia in the Decapolis. Rab Shaker 725 to be used also as a form of address and as a title of respect and honor meaning my great one. My excellent one. The title was demanded by some of the learned men, scribes, teachers of the law. They delighted to be called rabbi as an honorary title. Jesus Christ condemned such title-seeking and forbade his followers to be called rabbi, as he was their teacher. Mount 23. 6-8. In the Bible the term rabbi is used only in the Christian Greek scriptures. It is employed 12 times in connection with Jesus, in the de facto sense of teacher. Twice by Peter Mr. 9. 5. 11. 21, once by 2 disciples of John Joe 1. 38, once by Nathanael Joe 1. 49, once by Nicodemus Joe 3. 2, 3 times by disciples of Jesus whose names are not specified Joe 4. 31. 9. 2. 11. 8, once by the crowds Joe 6. 25, and 2 times by Judas. 1 instance is repeated Mount 26. 25, 49. Mr. 14. 45. Jesus is addressed by Mary Magdalene as Rabboni my teacher, also by blind man whom he healed. The personal pronoun my is a suffix here, but because of usage it seems to have lost its significance, as in Monsieur, originally meaning my Lord. Joe 20. 16. Mr. 10. 51 John the Baptizer is once addressed as Rabbi. Joe 3. 26. Birth Rab birth multitude. Abundance. According to the Masoretic text, a site on Issachar's boundary. Joe's 19. 17, 18, 20 It is thought to be the same as Debarath, identified with but Deburahorvat Deborah. Joe's 19. 12 Supporting this view is the fact that Vatican manuscript No. 1209, of the 4th century CE has dar middle dot by middle dot drawn in place of birth. See Debarath. Rabboni Rab middle dot Boani. A Semitic word meaning my teacher. Mr. 10. 51 It may be that Rabboni was a more respectful form than Rabbi, which title of address means teacher, or that it conveyed more personal warmth. Joe 1. 38 However, when John wrote, perhaps the first person suffix I on this word had lost its special significance in the title, since John translates it as meaning merely teacher. Joe 20. 16. Rab Mag. The title of a major official of the Babylonian Empire at the time that Jerusalem was destroyed in 607 BCE. The title has been identified on excavated inscriptions. Nagal-Sharezar the Rab Mag was one of the men in the special tribunal of high Babylonian princes who sat in judgment in Jerusalem's middle gate after the city fell to Nebuchadnezzar, and who is mentioned in connection with Jeremiah's being released to go to Gedalia. J 39. 3, 13, 14. Rabsar is Rabsa Middle-Trish Chief Court Official. The title of the chief court official in the Assyrian and Babylonian governments. The Rabsaris was one of the committee of 3 high Assyrian dignitaries that was sent by the king of Assyria to demand the surrender of Jerusalem in King Hezekiah's time. 2 Kai 18. 17. The Rabsaris was one of the Babylonian officials taking control of Jerusalem from Nebuchadnezzar when the city fell in 607 BCE, and Boshazban is named as the Rabsaris in connection with Jeremiah's being directed to dwell with Gedalia. J 39. 3, 13. 14. 40. 1-5 Excavations have unearthed inscriptions bearing the title. Bulletin of the Israel Exploration Society, Jerusalem, 1967, Volume XXXI, p. 77. Le Palais Royal du Garret, 3, Paris, 1955, no. 16. 162, p. 126. Rabshakeh Rabshah Middle.Keh from Akkadion, probably meaning chief cupbearer. The title of a major Assyrian official. 2 Kai 18. 17 A building inscription of the Assyrian king Tiglath-Pileser III says, I sent an officer of mine, the Rabshakeh, to Tyre. Also, from a tablet in the British Museum an inscription of King Ashurbanipal reads, I ordered to add to my former battle forces in Egypt the Rabshakeh officer. Ancient Near Eastern Texts, edited by J. Pritchard, 1974, pages 282, 296. While Sennacherib, the king of Assyria, was laying siege to the Judean fortress of Lachish, he sent a heavy military force to Jerusalem under Netartan, the commander-in-chief, along with Otextoi Acute Longo. Rakel 726 Nevertheless, the people of Jerusalem remained loyal to Hezekiah. 2 Kai 18. 36. The taunting words of Rabshakeh were taken by Hezekiah to Jehovah in prayer, and a delegation was sent to the prophet Isaiah to receive Jehovah's reply. 2 Kai 18. 37. 19. 1-7 In the meantime Rabshakeh was quickly called away when he heard that the king of Assyria had pulled away from Lachish and was fighting against Libnah. Keeping up his propaganda campaign against Hezekiah from a distance, Sennacherib sent messengers to Jerusalem with letters of continued taunt and strong threat to bring Hezekiah to surrender. 2 Kai 19. 8-13 King Hezekiah took the letters to the Temple of Jerusalem and spread them before Jehovah along with his urgent prayer for help. 2 Kai 19. 14-19 Jehovah gave his answer through the prophet Isaiah that the king of Assyria will not come into this city, nor will he shoot an arrow there, nor confront it with a shield, nor cast up a siege rampart against it. By the way by which he proceeded to come, he will return, and into this city he will not come, is the utterance of Jehovah. 2K 19. 32, 33 That night the angel of Jehovah struck down in death 185,000 soldiers of the Assyrians. This unexpected mighty blow caused Sennacherib, the king of Assyria, to withdraw immediately and return to Nineveh, Assyria's capital, where Sennacherib was assassinated sometime later. 2K 19. 35-37 As a blasphemous taunter of the living God Jehovah, Rabshakeh's efforts came to nothing. Rakal Rakal. One of the places to which David sent spoils from his war with the Amalekites. 1-30. 18, 26, 29 The Greek Septuagint has Carmel instead of Rakal, and some scholars believe this represents the original reading. Races. See Bible Races and Languages. Games. Man. Rachel Mew. Female sheep. A daughter of Laban, younger sister of Leah, and Jacob's first cousin and preferred wife. GE 29. 10, 16, 30 Jacob fled from his murderous brother Esau in 1781 BCE traveling to Haran in Padanaram, in the land of the Orientals. GE 28. 5. 29. 1 Rachel, a girl beautiful in form and beautiful of countenance, served as a shepherdess for her father. She met Jacob at a well near Haran. Jacob was received into his uncle's household and 1 month later agreed to serve Laban 7 years in order to marry Rachel, with whom he was now in love. His love did not weaken during the 7 years, and so these proved to be like some few days to him. On the wedding night, however, his uncle substituted the older daughter Leah, who evidently cooperated in carrying out the deceit. The following morning when Jacob accused him of trickery, Laban appealed to local custom as an excuse for his conduct. Jacob agreed to carry out a full marriage week with Leah before receiving Rachel and thereafter to work another 7 years for Laban. GE 29. 4-28. Rachel did not disappoint Jacob as his wife, and Jacob showed her more love than Leah. Jehovah now favored Leah in her disadvantaged position, blessing her with 4 sons, while Rachel remained barren. GE 29. 29-35 Rachel displayed jealousy of her sister as well as despair over her own infertility, a condition then viewed as a great reproach among women. Her fretful impatience angered even her loving husband. To compensate for her own barrenness, she gave Jacob her maidservant for procreation purposes as Sarah had done earlier with her slave Hagar, and the 2 children born as a result were considered Rachel's. Leah's maid and Leah herself produced a total of 4 more sons before Rachel's hope was finally realized and she brought forth her own first son, Joseph. GE 30. 1-24. Jacob was now ready to depart from Haran, but his father-in-law prevailed upon him to remain longer, and it was 6 years later that, at God's direction, Jacob pulled away. Because of Laban's double-dealing methods, Jacob did not advise him of his departure, and both Leah and Rachel were otextoi acute miritra longo. Rahab 727 The few details recorded can give only an incomplete picture of Rachel's personality. She was a worshipper of Jehovah GE 30. 22-24, but she showed human failings, her theft of the teraphim and her shrewdness in avoiding detection perhaps being at least partly attributable to her family background. Whatever her weaknesses, she was dearly loved by Jacob, who, even in old age, viewed her as having been his true wife and prized her children over all his others. GE 44. 20, 27-29 His words to Joseph shortly before dying, though simple, nevertheless convey the depth of Jacob's affection for her. GE 48. 1-7 She and Leah are spoken of as having built the house of Israel Jacob. Ru 4. 11. Archaeological discoveries may shed some light on Rachel's appropriation of her father's teraphim. GE 31. 19 cuneiform tablets found at Nazin in Mesopotamia, believed to date from about the middle of the 2nd millennium BCE reveal that some ancient peoples viewed the possession of household gods as representing legal title to inheritance of family property. Ancient Near Eastern Texts, edited by J. Pritchard, 1974, pages 219, 220 Some suggest that Rachel may have felt that Jacob had the right to a share in the inheritance in Laban's property as an adopted son, and that she may have taken the teraphim to ensure this, or even to gain advantage over Laban's sons. or she may have viewed the possession of these as a means of blocking any legal attempt by her father to claim some of the wealth Jacob had gained while in his service. Compare GE 30. 43. 31. 1, 2, 14-16. These possibilities, of course, depend upon the existence of such a custom among Laban's people and upon the teraphims actually being such household gods. Rachel's gravesite in the territory of Benjamin at Zilzah was still known in Samuel's time, some 6 centuries later. 1-10. 2. The traditional location of the grave lies about 1.5 kilometers 1 mi of Bethlehem. This, however, would place it in the territory of Judah, not Benjamin. Therefore others suggest a location farther end, but any attempt at being precise is useless today. Centuries after Rachel's death, why did the Bible tell of her weeping over her sons in the future? At Jeremiah 31. 15 Rachel is depicted as weeping over her sons who have been carried into the land of the enemy, her lamentation being heard in Ramah of Jerusalem in the territory of Benjamin. See Ramah number 1. Since Ephraim, whose tribal descendants are often used collectively to stand for the northern kingdom of Israel, is mentioned several times in the context 31. 6, 9, 18. 20. Some scholars believe this prophecy relates to the exiling of the people of the northern kingdom by the Assyrians. 2 Kai 17. 1-6. 18. 9-11 On the other hand, it might relate to the eventual exiling of both those of Israel and of Judah, the latter by Babylon. In the first case, the figure of Rachel would be very appropriate, since she was the maternal ancestor of Ephraim through Joseph, the most prominent tribe of the northern kingdom. In the second case, Rachel's being the mother not only of Joseph, but also of Benjamin, whose tribe formed part of the southern kingdom of Judah, would make her a fitting symbol of the mothers of all Israel, their bringing forth sons now seeming to have been in vain. Jehovah's comforting promise, however, was that the exiles would certainly return from the land of the enemy. 31. 16. This text was quoted by Matthew in connection with the slaughter of infants in Bethlehem at Herod's order. Mount 2. 16-18 Since Rachel's grave was at least relatively near Bethlehem, though apparently not at the traditional site, this figure of Rachel weeping was appropriate. O textoi acute miritra longo. Raham 728 The Hebrew words o middle. No always has to do with an illicit relationship, either sexual or as a figure of spiritual unfaithfulness, and in each instance where it denotes a prostitute, it is so translated. It is not rendered hosties, innkeeper, or the like. Besides, among the Canaanites harlotry was not a business of ill repute. Rahab's 2 guests were recognized as Israelites by others, who reported the matter to the king. However, Rahab quickly hid the men among flax stalks that were drying on the roof so that when the authorities got there to pick the men up she was able to direct them elsewhere without arousing their suspicions. In all of this, Rahab demonstrated greater devotion to the God of Israel than to her own condemned community. Jos 2. 2-7. At what point Rahab had become aware of the spies' purpose there and Israel's intentions concerning Jericho is uncertain. But she now confessed to them the great fear and dread existing in the city, because of reports about Jehovah's saving acts for Israel over the past 40 years or more. She asked the spies to swear to her for the preservation of herself and her whole family. Father, mother, and all the rest. To this they agreed, provided she gather all the family into her house, hang a scarlet cord from the window, and remain silent concerning their visit, all of which she promised to do. Further protecting the spies, she enabled them to escape through a window, the house being on the city wall, and told them how they could avoid the search party that had headed for the Jordan at the fords. Jos 2. 8-22. The spies reported back to Joshua all that had happened. Jos 2. 23, 24 Then when Jericho's wall fell down, Rahab's house, on a side of the wall, was not destroyed. Jos 2. 15. 6. 22 On Joshua's orders that Rahab's household be spared, the same 2 spies brought her out to safety. After a period of separation from Israel's camp, Rahab and her family were permitted to dwell among the Israelites. Jos 6. 17, 23, 25 This former prostitute then became the wife of Salmon and the mother of Boaz in the royal ancestry of the Davidic kings. She is one of the 4 women named in Matthew's genealogy of Jesus. Ru 4. 20-22. Mount 1. 5, 6. She is also an outstanding example of one who, though not an Israelite, by works proved her complete faith in Jehovah. By faith, Paul tells us, Rahab the harlot did not perish with those who acted disobediently, because she received the spies in a peaceable way. Was not also Rahab the harlot declared righteous by works, after she had received the messengers hospitably and sent them out by another way? Asks James. Heb 11. 30, 31. Just 2. 25. 2. Heb. Rahav, from a root meaning storm with importunities. A symbolic expression first used in Job 9. 13. 26. 12, where it is translated stormer. In the second of these passages, the context and parallel construction connect it with a great sea monster. Similarly, Isaiah 51. 9 links Rahab with the sea monster. Are you not the one that broke Rahab to pieces, that pierced the sea monster? Rahab, a sea monster, came to symbolize Egypt and her Pharaoh who opposed Moses and Israel. Isaiah 51. 9, 10 alludes to Jehovah's delivering Israel from Egypt. Are you not the one that dried up the sea, the waters of the vast deep? The one that made the depths of the sea a way for the repurchased ones to go across? At Isaiah 30. 7 Rahab is again connected with Egypt. Psalm 87. 4 mentions Rahab where Egypt appropriately fits, as the first in a list of Israel's enemies, along with Babylon, Philistia, Tyre, and Cush. The Targums use the Egyptians in this verse, and it's Psalm 89. 10 They paraphrase Rahab in such a way as to link the term with Egypt's arrogant Pharaoh whom Jehovah humiliated. Raham vulture. A son of Shema in the Calebite branch of Judah's genealogy. 1 Ch 2. 4, 5, 9, 42-44. Rain. A vital part of the cycle by which water textoi acute miritra longo, rain 729 as falling is in the account of the flood. Then the floodgates of the heavens were opened, and the downpour upon the earth went on for 40 days and 40 nights. Ge 7. 11, 12. 8. 2. Formation. Among the questions that Jehovah put to Job, emphasizing man's limited understanding of the forces and laws of creation and the earth, was: does there exist a father for the rain? Job 38. 28 Though meteorologists have studied extensively the formation of rain, what have emerged are, as the World Book Encyclopedia says, theories. 1987, Volume 16, pages 123, 124 As warm air containing water vaporizes and cools, moisture condenses into tiny water droplets. One theory holds that as the larger droplets fall through a cloud, they collide with smaller droplets and combine with them, until they become too heavy for the air to support. Another theory proposes that ice crystals form in cloud tops, where the temperature is below the freezing point, and change to rain as they fall through warmer air. Jehovah as a source. Jehovah was no mere rain god for Israel. He was not like Baal, whom the Canaanites thought brought the rainy season with his awakening to life. Faithful Israelites recognized that Jehovah, not Baal, could withhold the precious rain. This was clearly illustrated when Jehovah brought a drought in Israel when Baal worship there was at its peak, in the time of the prophet Elijah. 1 Chi 17. 1, 7. Just 5. 17, 18. It is Jehovah who prepared rain for the earth. PS 147. 8. Is 30. 23 He has divided a channel for the flood, perhaps referring to the way in which God causes clouds to channel rain down over certain parts of the globe. Job 38. 25-27. Compare PS 135. 7. Ch 10. 13. His ability to control rain in harmony with his purpose is one of the things that distinguished Jehovah from the lifeless idol gods worshipped by the nations surrounding Israel. Ch 14. 22 In the Promised Land the Israelites had even more reason to appreciate that than when they were in Egypt, where rain was very infrequent. 11. 10, 11. In preaching to the Greeks in Lystra, Paul and Barnabas explained that the rain served as a witness about the living God and a demonstration of his goodness. Act 14. 14-17 The benefits of rain are felt not just by the good and righteous but by all people. So, Jesus pointed out, God's love in this regard should serve as a pattern for humans. Mount 5. 43-48. Rainfall in the Promised Land. A distinct feature of the climate of the Promised Land is its variety as to rainfall. Two chief factors determining the amount of rain are proximity to the sea and the land's elevation. The plains along the Mediterranean receive considerable rain during the rainy season, with the amount decreasing as one goes from end to west. The rainfall tends to be greater in the hills and mountains, because the moisture carried eastward from the sea condenses more heavily there. The Jordan Valley lies in a rain shadow, for the air traveling over the mountains has by then given up much of its moisture, and the air is warmed as it moves into the valley. Yet, when this air meets the elevated plateau of the Jordan, clouds again form, resulting in some rainfall. This makes a strip of land of the Jordan suitable for grazing or limited agriculture. Farther is the desert, where the rain is too light and irregular to be useful for raising crops or for grazing herds. Seasons. The two primary seasons in the Promised Land, summer and winter, can rather accurately be viewed as the dry season and the rainy season. Compare PS 32. 4. K2. 11, FTN. From about mid-April to mid-October very little rain falls. Rain is rare in this period during which the harvest takes place. Proverbs 26. 1 shows that rain at harvest time was considered quite out of place. Compare 1 Saw 12. 17-19. During the rainy season the rain is not constant. It alternates with clear days. Since this is also the cold period, exposure to O-textoi acute meritra longo, rainbow 730 gentle rains upon grass and as copious showers upon vegetation. The 32. 2 They would be able to sink in slowly but be sufficient to provide full refreshment, as showers on vegetation. Similarly, a source of refreshment and plenty was depicted in likening the gathered remnant of Jacob to copious showers upon vegetation. Mic 5. 7. The reign of God's king described in Psalm 72 would be marked by prosperity and blessing. Consequently, he was represented as descending like the rain upon the mown grass, like copious showers that wet the earth and produced fresh vegetation. PS 72. 1, 6. Compare 2 Saw 23. 3, 4. The goodwill of a king was likened to the cloud of spring rain, for it gave evidence of pleasant conditions to come, just as rain-bearing clouds assure the water necessary for the crops to come to fruition. PR 16. 15. However, the falling rain does not always result in vegetation that is a blessing to the human cultivator. The watered earth may produce thorns and thistles. Paul used this as an example, comparing the rain-watered ground to Christians who have tasted the heavenly free gift, and who have become partakers of Holy Spirit. If they do not produce the fruits of the Spirit, but fall away from the truth, they are due to be burned, like a field producing only thorns. Hope 6. 4-8. In John's vision in Revelation he saw 2 witnesses with the authority to shut up heaven that no rain should fall during the days of their prophesying. Re 11. 3-6 These witnesses representing God as prophets, or spokesmen, would not pronounce God's favor or blessing on the plans and works of wicked men on earth. Like Elijah, who announced a 3.5-year drought on Israel, because of their practice of Baal worship promoted by King Ahab and his wife Jezebel, so these 2 witnesses figuratively shut up heaven so that no refreshing rain from God would come to bring prosperity to such efforts of man. 1 Kai 17. 1. 18. 45. Bu 4. 25, 26. Just 5. 17, 18. Rainbow. A semicircular bow, or arc, exhibiting a spectrum of colors. A visible sign of Jehovah's covenant promise that no more would all flesh be cut off by waters of a deluge, and no more would there occur a deluge to bring the earth to ruin. Ge 9. 11-16 There is no separate Hebrew word for rainbow, so the normal word for bow with which to shoot arrows is used in the Bible. As 1, 28. Complicated theories and formulas are used to explain the formation of a rainbow. Basically, it seems that as white light enters a raindrop, it is refracted and dispersed into different colors, the drop acting like a tiny prism. Each color strikes the inner surface of the drop and is reflected back at a different and specific angle. Thus an observer sees a bow with all 7 colors of the spectrum from the inside of the arc outward. Violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red, though these may blend so that only 4 or 5 are clear. Sometimes a larger and less distinct secondary bow is formed with the colors reversed. Scientists are still studying the rainbow. Carl B. Boyer observes, within the raindrop the interaction of light energy with matter is so intimate that one is led directly to quantum mechanics and the theory of relativity. Although much is known about the production of the rainbow, little has been learned about its perception. The Rainbow, From Myth to Mathematics, 1959, pages 320, 321. The first biblical reference to a rainbow is in the account of the covenant God made with Noah and his offspring after the flood survivors came out of the ark. Ge 9. 8-17. Isra 54. 9-10. This splendid sight of itself would have been reassuring and an indication of peace to Noah and his family. Many opinions have been offered as to whether it was the first time humans saw a rainbow. Some commentators have held that rainbows had been seen before and that God's giving the rainbow at this textoi acute miracle longo, Rama 731 emphasized the glory of Jehovah. As 1. 28. Similarly, John saw Jehovah's throne of splendor, and round about it there was a rainbow like an emerald in appearance. The restful emerald green color of the rainbow would have suggested composure and serenity to John, and appropriately so since Jehovah is the master of every situation, the glorious ruler. 4. 3. John also saw an angel with a rainbow upon his head. Ray 10. 1, which may suggest that he was a special representative of the God of peace. PHP 4. 9. Rakath, a fortified city of Naphtali. Jos 19. 32, 35. It is identified with Bet El-Gniteret El-Lukat, located on the Sea of Galilee a short distance of Tiberias. Rakham Rakkon, a city listed when describing the border of Dan. Jos 19. 40, 41, 46. It is tentatively identified by some with Tel Arikite, a short distance of Tel Aviv-Yaffo, on the shore of the Mediterranean Sea. Ramhi. 1. A descendant of Judah through Perez and Hezron. He lived while Israel was in Egypt. Though Ram was apparently not the first son of Hezron, Ram's genealogy, leading to the Davidic line, is listed first among the 3 sons of Hezron. 1 Ch 2. 4, 5, 9-17, 25. Having Nishan, Boaz, and David among his descendants, Ram was an ancestor of Jesus. New 1. 7. Ru 4. 18-22. Mount 1. 3, 4. His name is spelled Ram in some manuscripts in Luke's Ancestry of Jesus. Luke 3. 33. 2. The firstborn son of Jerahmeel and nephew of number 1. He fathered 3 sons. 1 Ch 2. 9, 25, 27. 3. Founder of Elihu's family. Job 32. 2. Rama height. The Hebrew word signifies a height or a high place. As 16. 24. It was used as a proper name for a number of locations in Israel. 1. A city in the territory of Benjamin. In Joshua 18. 25. It is listed between Gibeon and Beeroth. Apparently it was near Bethel, which city was in the of Ephraim's territory. JG 4. 5. Levite traveling and past Jerusalem came to Gibeah, with Ramah evidently just beyond. JG 19. 11-15. Ho 5. 8. And it was in the neighborhood of Jebah. Issa 10. 29. These references combine with testimony of Eusebius in identifying Ramah in Benjamin with the locality of modern Aram, which is about 8 kilometers 5 mi of Jerusalem, 3 kilometers 2 mi of Gibeah, 5 kilometers 3 mi of Gibeon, and 3 kilometers 2 MW of Jebba. The city is on an elevation, as the name implies. During the divided kingdom, Ramah came in for considerable attention, located, as it was, near the border between Israel and Judah and the Ns road of the hill country. King Baasha of Israel began to expand or fortify Ramah in Benjamin while warring against Asa. 1 Chi 15. 16, 17. 2 Ch 16. 1 But when the king of Syria attacked Israel from the N, Baasha's attention was diverted and Asa took Ramah as well as the building materials Baasha had been using there, using these to build up neighboring Jebba and Mizpah. 1 Chi 15. 20-22. 2 Ch 16. 4-6 It appears that, when Jerusalem was destroyed in 607 BCE, the Jews taken captive were assembled in Ramah before being moved to Babylon. J 40. 1 After the exile Ramah was repopulated. As 2. 1, 26. Ne 7. 30. 11. 33. Some scholars have concluded that such an assembling of Jews at Ramah before taking them into exile, perhaps accompanied by the slaughtering of some, there was referred to with the words, "In Ramah a voice is being heard, lamentation and bitter weeping. Rachel weeping over her sons. She has refused to be comforted over her sons, because they are no more." J 31. 15 Jacob's wife Rachel had so desired children as to consider herself dead without them. Ge 30. 1 So now Rachel might be spoken of figuratively as weeping over the loss of the Jews in death or captivity. Or, since Rachel was the mother of Benjamin, Jeremiah's words may represent her as weeping particularly over the Benjamite inhabitants of Ramah. Jeremiah went on to explain that hope existed, for the exiles would return. J 31. 16 At Matthew 2. 18. The Prophetico Textoi Acute Miritra Longo, Ramah times Ophim 732, 5. The hometown of the prophet Samuel and his parents. In 1 Samuel 1. 1, Samuel's father Elkanah is described as a man of Ramah times Ophim of the mountainous region of Ephraim. Throughout the rest of the account the shortened form Ramah is used. 1 So 1. 19 Perhaps the longer name is first used to distinguish this Ramah from other places of the same name, such as Ramah in Benjamin. An American translation reads, "Man of Ramah, a Zubite." This rendering of the Masoretic text would indicate that Elkanah was either a descendant of Zub-Zophai or from the district of Zub. 1 Ch 6. 27, 28, 34, 35. 1 So 9. 5. An ancient tradition presented by Eusebius identifies Ramah with the location of modern Raandasrantes, in the hills of Ephraim about 35 km 22 MW of Jerusalem. This would be the same place as the Aramathugia form of Heb. Ra Ma mentioned in the Christian Greek scriptures. Lu 23. 50-53. Elkanah made his home in Ramah, where Samuel evidently was born, but each year he traveled to Shiloh to sacrifice. 1 So 1. 3, 19. 2. 11 Though Samuel lived with Eli the priest at Shiloh for some time, eventually he took up residence at Ramah and used it as a base from which he traveled in a circuit judging Israel. 1 So 3. 19-21. 7. 15-17. 8. 4. 15. 24-35. 16. 4, 13. 19. 18-24 When Samuel died he was buried at his house in Ramah, his own city. 1 So 25. 1. 28. 3. 6. A shortened form for Ramoth Gilead. 2 Chi 8. 28, 29. 2 Ch 22. 5, 6. See Ramoth Gilead. Ramah times Ophim Ra middle dot math middle dot Ims Ophim. The home of Elkanah, father of Samuel, in the mountainous region of Ephraim. 1 So 1. 1. See Ramah no. 5. Ramathite Ramath middle dot ite of belonging to Ramah. A designation for Shimei, the vineyard keeper of King David. 1 ch 27. 27. It indicates that he was from one of the several towns named Ramah, but there is no way of determining which one. Ramath-lehi, lofty place of the jawbone. The name Samson gave the site in Judah where he struck down 1,000 Philistines with the moist jawbone of an ass. JG 15. 16-18. Lehi. Ramath-Mizpah, lofty place of the watchtower. One of the cities of the Jordan given to the tribe of Gad. Jos 13. 24, 26. Evidently Ramath-Mizpah was near Betonim. Ramesses. See Ramses, Ramesses. Rami. Possibly, Jews high exalted. An Israelite, one of the sons of Parosh who sent away their foreign wives and sons at the encouragement of Ezra. Ez 10. 10, 11, 25, 44. Ramoth probably, lofty places. From the root meaning rise. 1. Elvite city in the territory of Issachar. 1 ch 6. 71-73. It is apparently the same as Remoth and Jarmuth. No. 2. Jos 19. 17, 21. 21. 27-29. Ramoth is tentatively identified with Kokabel Hawakuk Yarden, on a Tablil and about 10 km 6 mi of Beth Shean. 2. Ramoth of the south at 1 Samuel 30. 27 apparently refers to the Baalath-Beer, Ramah of the south mentioned at Joshua 19. 8. Its location was evidently in the Negeb. See Ramah. No. 2. 3. A city in Gilead, east of the Jordan River. Jos 20. 8. In time it came to be called Ramoth Gilead. See Ramoth Gilead. Ramoth Gilead, Ramoth Gilead, middle dotted, probably, lofty places of Gilead. A strategic city in the territory of Gad, of the Jordan. The city was also called by the shortened form Ramah. 2 Chi 8. 28, 29. 2 ch 22. 5, 6. It was one of the Levite cities on that side of the river. 1 ch 6. 80, and it was selected as one of the cities of refuge. De 4. 43. Jos 20. 8. 21. 38. Solomon appointed a deputy in Ramoth Gilead to care for providing food for the king from cities in Gilead and Bashan. 1 Chi 4. 7, 13. When, after the division of the kingdom, Syria made attacks on Israel, Ramoth Gilead played an important part in Israelite history, evidently being sort of a key to the territory of the Jordan. At some point the Syrians took the city. Despite the promise of Ben-Hadad II to return the Israelite cities that had owed tax to Akut long ago, ransom 733. The exact location of Ramoth Gilead is uncertain. One of many suggested locations is Tel Ramath, about 45 kilometers 28 miles of the southern tip of the Sea of Galilee. The name of this Tel could have been derived from the name Ramoth Gilead. It is on a hill overlooking a plain, which agrees with the probable meaning of Ramoth, lofty places. From the root meaning rise. The location would have been appropriate for a deputy responsible for Gilead and Bashan. 1 Chi 4. 13. Rampart. A mound of earth or stones, or even a wall, raised as a fortification around the place. The siege rampart Heb. So Lela was a mound of earth and sometimes stones cast up by an army to form an inclined plane for bringing battering rams and other siege equipment against a fortified city. 2 Sa 20. 15. The Assyrian king Sennacherib cast up a siege rampart against Lachish. Excavations at Lachish show that this rampart consisted mainly of stones bound together by a large quantity of mortar. However, Sennacherib was not able to cast up a siege rampart against Jerusalem. 2 Chi 19. 32. Siege ramparts were to be thrown up by Nebuchadnezzar the king of Babylon against Jerusalem and against Tyre. Just 6. 6. Ez 21. 22. 26. 7, 8. The siege against Jerusalem was illustrated prophetically when Ezekiel was directed to engrave a model of Jerusalem on a brick and build a siege rampart against it. Ez 4. 1, 2. The rampart Heb. Sawm mentioned at Zechariah 9. 3, 4 apparently has reference to the strong fortifications of Tyre, which consisted of high walls.